Good morning and happy birthday, Mom! Today is the 10th anniversary of the worst birthday present I have ever gotten you. And because of that, I'm going to share the story of it. And to my other friends who are listening, I promise this all really happened. I'm not exaggerating at all. Now here's how it went. This all happened when I was 17 years old. I was in high school, I was in the marching band, I was working my first ever job at Boston Market, and I'd been there for a year and a day. And at this point, I'm pretty sure that if God exists up there, he had a much different plan for me. So he decided to throw me a sign in as unsubtle way as possible. So I was riding my bike home, and I decided to stop at Publix, which for my non-Floridian friends is a cult grocery store, and I don't say this lightly. It's pretty much the Floridian version of Tim Hortons in the way it is to Canada. People in Florida are obsessed with Publix. They swear by it. It's the national symbol of Florida. And I stopped at Publix to pick up a birthday card for my mother because, of course, it's her birthday and I am a terrible son and I've forgotten her birthday card until the last minute. So at Publix, there are these firefighters and they're doing a little meet and greet, kissing babies and signing autographs and lecturing people about fire safety because, it's Pinellas County, Florida, and nothing really happens for the firefighters. Except for that one time when my family's cat literally got stuck up a tree. Yes, that actually happened. But that's another story. So I pick up my birthday card, I wave hi to the firefighters, and I hop on my bike to ride the mile or so back to my house. Now, the road back to my house is pretty much a straight shot. There's no streetlights, there's only one stop sign, but there is a section off right-hand turning lane at one of the crossroads, and that's where the trouble starts. So I was cruising home on the sidewalk. I was at speed, maybe 20 miles an hour or so, down on my aero bars, not a care in the world, done this hundreds of times. And then as I approach a section off right-hand turning lane, there's a big bush that blocks the view of the street. But that doesn't matter because there's never any traffic on that street anyway, so I just cruise on by. Except this time there is somebody in that intersection, and he's thinking the same thing. He's driving, he's cruising ahead, there's never anybody there, so I'm just gonna blow right through this yield sign. And the funny thing is, this kid is a high school senior just like me. He's in the football team, I'm in the marching band. For my non-American friends, those two are traditionally rivals at American high schools. But we didn't really know each other, so there's no hard feelings with him. I'm sure he's a good guy. So anyway, I'm cruising forward, he's cruising forward, we're cruising forward into each other at the same time. And I remember looking to my left and suddenly seeing this car fill my field of vision. And then everything after this is a reconstruction from what we pieced together after the fact because I blacked out for this thing, and thank God that I did. So the front wheel of my bicycle hits his front bumper and stops dead, but the rest of the bicycle and me keep going because physics. So I fly over the hood and through his front windshield where I get stuck. So this kid looks up and all of a sudden there's a Justin in his windshield. Now what's your first reaction when you're driving along nice and peacefully and suddenly a 17-year-old guy crashes into your windshield? Well, you slam on the brakes, don't you? So that's what he did. Which is all well and good, except I had just entered the car and hadn't had time to put my seatbelt on yet. So the car stops, but I keep going because physics. So I roll over the hood, hit the ground. Thankfully the car stopped before I hit the ground and did not run me over. But I was still pretty beaten up, as you can imagine. So that's where I come to. My memory restarts about 15 seconds after I hit the ground. The kid and his dad, who is in the passenger seat, are getting out of the car. And I remember the kid coming over to me, taking off his shirt, handing it to me, and saying, "Hey, put this on your neck." And I do, because I'm a suggestible person, even without a concussion, so I follow orders. And I remember holding it to my neck, and then taking it away right afterward and seeing it soaked in red. And I'm just thinking, oh God, I've seen the movies, I've seen the blood spouting out of the arteries like it must be doing into this t-shirt right now for me, and I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die a virgin. But thankfully that would not come to pass. It was just a couple of superficial cuts. So I'm sitting up, having just come to terms with my own mortality. And who shows up but the fire department? The same one from Publix. And the guy was like, "Hey, didn't I just see you like 10 minutes ago?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm sorry, I ruined your publicity stunt." But he's like, "Yeah, that's what we're here for. Now, sit up. Are you feeling okay? Like, check yourself out." And so I do my like little self once-over. Head, check. Neck, probably not broken because I'm still alive. Check. Back, check. Arms, check. Left leg? No check. No check. Oh God, I'm paralyzed. I'm gonna be in a wheelchair for the rest of my life. Oh, wait. Oh, thank God I can move my toes. Okay. Right leg? Check. Okay, so my left leg is broken. I tell that to the firefighter, and he's like, "Alright, we're getting you an ambulance." And then he takes some information from me, including my mother's phone number, and he calls my mom, which, remember, it's her birthday. And she gets that phone call that no parent ever wants to get. So she comes rushing over the half a mile to the accident site. And she comes over to her firstborn son, who's laying on the ground, and she's like, "Oh God, my baby, are you okay?" And I, in my concussed state of mind, reached down to the bag hanging from my belt loop that had her birthday card in it. And I give it to her like, "I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to sign it, but happy birthday, Mom." And I'm sure that's a line that's gonna stay with her for the rest of her life. So they load me into an ambulance. They drive me over to the high school parking lot about a mile away from that, where my marching band is beginning to gather for practice and wondering why I'm not there. And they got to see a Bayflight medical helicopter land, and somebody get loaded onto it. They didn't know who it was, but it was me. And then I got to ride in the helicopter, which was not as fun as it sounds because I was strapped to a gurney because they were concerned about my neck. I kept trying to tell them, "Look, my neck is not broken because I'm not dead," but they did the medically sound thing and said, "Alright, just to make sure, we're gonna keep you strapped down and wait till we can x-ray it." Fine, okay. And meanwhile, I'm trying to grab for my cell phone to call my boss at Boston Market to tell him that I wasn't going to be there for the later shift that day. Because this is the kind of fast food place that makes you work a double shift when you're in high school. So impressed in my dedication, after we land, the paramedic grabs the cell phone from me, dials my boss up, and is like, "Yeah, he's not going to be with you anymore. Sorry about that." And you know, he was right. Because after that ordeal, I literally could not stand to work there anymore. And they get me in the hospital, they take x-rays of everything, and it turns out that while I have a broken femur and a concussion and need stitches in my neck, I don't have anything broken in my neck. So I'm like, "Ha! I told ya!" And they said, "Yeah, you did. Now breathe this in and count backwards from 100. And they proceeded to cut my hip open and hammer a 4-pound titanium rod into my femur and stick 3 screws in there just for safekeeping. And then followed 5 days in a hospital, 6 months of walking around on a cane, a lifetime of claiming that I'm a cyborg, and the worst birthday present I ever got my mother, $100,000 of medical bills. Happy birthday, Mom. I love you, and I promise to never do that to you again. I'm sorry. This story was produced by me, Justin Sanak. Music from Mom Pleasure, Komiku, Delicasession, and Rocket Max. I hope I pronounced those right. Now, I made this story just for practice, but I'd be interested in recording more of them if there's demand for it. So chime in, let me know how you liked it, give me some feedback, and I'll see you next time. Inshallah. Thanks for listening.